God says, 2 minutes left. God just spoke your name in heaven, and your life is about to change forever. Open it immediately. Sometimes, life feels like a long, winding road where the destination is always just out of reach. We walk through days filled with quiet prayers, silent tears, and hopes we barely speak out loud, wondering if anyone in heaven hears them at all. And just when we think we've been forgotten, heaven stirs. In a moment you didn't expect, God whispers your name, gently but clearly, among the angels. That whisper echoes through eternity and reaches the very place your heart has been longing to touch because He has not forgotten you, not even for a second. Type Amen if you believe He is listening. Maybe you've been walking with a heavy burden. Maybe the nights have been too long and the mornings have felt cold with worry. But God is not distant. He is not far away, watching you from somewhere unreachable. He is near, and He is waiting for the moment your heart is still enough to hear Him. And today, right now, in this moment, He has spoken your name in heaven. That is not a small thing. That is not something to overlook. It means heaven is aware of your pain, your waiting, your cries, and more than that, heaven is moving on your behalf. You may not feel it yet. You may still see the same walls, the same challenges, the same fears, but something has already shifted. When God speaks your name, the very air around you begins to change. The path ahead, though still hidden to your eyes, is already being cleared. The weight you've been carrying, the fear you've been battling, the doubt you've been pushing through, all of it is now under God's light. He has not only seen it, He is now taking action, and your life will not remain the same. There's something deeply beautiful about being known by God. To be called by name in the courts of heaven means your journey matters. Your story is not invisible. Every time your heart broke, He saw. Every time you trusted Him even when things made no sense, He remembered. Every time you chose kindness over bitterness, faith over fear, and love over anger, He smiled. Because while the world may overlook what you do, God never does. He sees the quiet strength in your spirit. He hears the faith that trembles, but still holds on. And when He speaks your name, it's not just sound, it's a promise. Type 1313 if you trust in God's timing. There will be moments when you feel like nothing's happening. You'll pray and feel the silence stretching on too long. But even in those moments, God is doing more than you can imagine. Just as seeds grow in the darkness of soil before they rise toward the sun, your miracle has begun in quiet. Heaven works in ways the earth doesn't understand. God's power moves in layers and timing that are perfect, even when they feel delayed. He is not in a hurry, but He is never late. This life will test you. It will stretch you, and sometimes it will try to break you. But Jesus never promised a life without storms. He promised that in every storm you would never be alone. The wind may howl, the rain may fall, but the hand that calmed the sea still holds your life, and now that hand has moved again. The doors that were shut are about to swing open. The chains that held you back are already loosening. The prayers you've whispered in the night are becoming the very plans God is preparing to release. If your heart has been hurting, if your days have felt long and your soul tired, hear this truth. Jesus is not done with your story. His grace is still flowing. His mercy is still new. His love is still deeper than you can fathom. You haven't missed your moment. You haven't failed too much. You are not too late. Heaven has spoken your name, not in judgment, but in compassion. Not in disappointment, but in joy. And this is just the beginning. Keep holding on, because God is not finished. He is writing something beautiful out of your broken pieces. He is creating something holy out of what felt hopeless. Trust Him. Trust His heart, even when you don't understand His timing. Believe in His love, even when your heart feels fragile. Your name was spoken in heaven, and that means something incredible is already on its way. There's a quiet moment that arrives just before everything changes. It's not loud or filled with flashes of light. It's often soft, almost unnoticed, like the way morning sunlight slowly spills into a dark room. That's how God moves tenderly, with care, gently preparing your heart for what is about to be transformed. When your name is spoken in heaven, it isn't shouted over the noise of the world. It is whispered with love, intention, and the fullness of God's heart for you. Type 222 if you believe your breakthrough is coming. God's timing may not match your calendar, but it's always perfectly aligned with your soul's deepest needs. He knows when your heart is ready, when the soil of your life has been tilled and prepared, when the roots of your faith have grown deep enough to carry the weight of a miracle. And now, that time has come. Your name was lifted in heaven, and the answers you've been waiting for, the healing you've prayed for, the peace you've longed for, they're no longer on their way. They're already in motion. Your life may not look different this very second, but the shift has begun. Like rain falling far off in the distance, the sound may not have reached your ears yet, but it's coming closer. Each step you've taken in faith has mattered. Every tear, every prayer, every quiet moment of hope, when you refuse to give up, has been seen and treasured by God. Nothing has been wasted. Not a single moment. You might not have known it, but while you were kneeling in prayer, heaven was gathering around you. Angels moved at the sound of your whispered cries. Jesus leaned in close, and God Himself spoke your name, not just as a reminder of who you are, but as a declaration of what is to come. That name, your name, is precious in His sight. It carries purpose. It carries promise. God is not surprised by your struggles. He is not overwhelmed by your pain. He is not distant from your sorrow. He has been beside you through it all, gently waiting for the moment when everything changes. And now, that moment is drawing near. The weight you've been carrying is not yours to bear alone anymore. You have been noticed. You have been chosen. You have been heard. Your heart might still be aching, and your eyes may still be searching for signs, but know this: heaven is already rejoicing. Not because of something you did to earn it, but because of the love God has for you. A love that never shifts, a love that never grows weary. A love that is patient, kind, and strong enough to carry you through the darkest valley. Type 1414 if you trust Jesus with your heart. Sometimes we think God only moves when we are at our strongest, when we've got everything together, but often He shows up when we're at our weakest, when we have no strength left to fight. That's when His grace covers us the most. That's when His mercy becomes real. When you're tired, confused, and unsure of what's next, He steps in with clarity, with strength, with power. And all of that begins with one moment, when your name is lifted up in heaven. It's more than a thought. It's more than a hope. It's an eternal truth. When God speaks your name, the heavens respond. The chains begin to fall. The mountains begin to move. The closed doors begin to unlock. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared. The waiting wasn't punishment. It was protection. The silence wasn't absence. It was preparation. And now, the preparation is ending. The new beginning is here. Let yourself breathe. Let yourself believe again. You've grown through this. You've stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. And God saw it all. He saw every lonely moment. He saw you loving people who didn't love you back. He saw you forgiving when it was hard. He saw you giving when you had little. He saw you walking forward when fear told you to run away. And for all of it, He has not only remembered you, He is now ready to reward you. You are about to enter a season where things make sense, not because the pain disappears, but because God brings purpose to it. You'll look back and see the fingerprints of heaven over every broken moment. The delays will reveal themselves as divine timing. The losses will bloom into lessons that grew your spirit stronger. And all of it is leading you into something beautiful. Not just change, but transformation. Not just hope, but fulfillment. There is no need to rush, no need to panic. What God begins, He finishes. What He promises, He fulfills. And what He speaks in heaven, He releases on earth. Your name has been spoken in the place where all things begin. That's not just a message, it's a movement. It's a sign that your life is about to carry something new, something sacred, something heaven-born. So keep walking, keep breathing, keep believing. Let faith rise up in the cracks of your heart. Let love pour into the spaces where pain once lived. Let joy become your strength again. God is working, even now. He is aligning hearts, opening paths, releasing favor. He is softening what was hardened, healing what was broken, restoring what was lost. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's standing still. The prayers you've been repeating begin to echo without answers, and hope starts to stretch thin like a thread about to break. You feel the weight of unanswered questions pressing on your shoulders, and the silence from heaven can make your heart ache with uncertainty. But even in that stillness, something sacred is happening. Heaven is not silent because it has forgotten you. Heaven is silent because something holy is being written into the story of your life. Type 1212 if you walk by faith, not by sight. When God speaks your name in heaven, He doesn't do so out of habit or ritual. He speaks it because it carries meaning, it carries history, it carries future. Your name holds every tear you've cried, every fear you've faced, and every moment you chose to believe even when it hurt. When God says your name, all of heaven listens. Angels take notice. The spiritual realm shifts. What was once delayed begins to accelerate, and what was once unclear begins to unfold in divine clarity. God does not speak your name casually. He speaks it with love, with promise, and with purpose. And when He does, change begins not always instantly in the way we expect, but deeply from the inside out. A change that reorders what you thought was finished. A shift that breathes life back into what you thought was over. A healing that reaches places too deep for words. Because when heaven calls your name, it is not calling you to stay in the same place. It is calling you into something higher, something greater, something more beautiful than you've ever known. You might be wondering how this will happen. How can God change everything when nothing seems to be moving? But this is where faith becomes real. Faith doesn't wait for signs. Faith trusts the whisper of God's voice, even when it goes against what your eyes see. And if God has spoken your name in heaven, it means your life has already started to move in the direction of healing, of provision, of breakthrough. Even if your surroundings haven't caught up yet, your destiny already has. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel like you've been fighting the same battles for too long. But know this, the battle has not been in vain. The waiting has not been wasted. God has seen it all. The days you got out of bed with a heavy heart. The nights you couldn't sleep because your mind was racing. The mornings you smiled even when your spirit was weary. He saw it, He felt it, and now He has spoken. And when He speaks, things begin to move. Type yes if you believe this is your time to receive. This is the moment where God reminds you who you are, not just who the world says you are, not just who you've come to believe in your lowest times, but who you are in His eyes. You are chosen. You are loved beyond understanding. You are being shaped, not for something small, but for something eternal. Your name being spoken in heaven means your story is not over. It means something new is about to begin, something that could only come from God's hands. And that is where peace begins to settle in, not because all the problems vanish, but because you start to understand that you were never alone in any of it. Every struggle was shared, every fear was known, every disappointment was felt, and now every hope you held on to in silence is being answered by the one who formed you, who walks with you, and who has never let you out of His sight. There's a rhythm to God's work in your life. It doesn't rush, it doesn't panic, It flows with grace. What you thought was a detour was actually direction. What you believed was a loss was a lesson preparing you for what's ahead. The blessings coming your way are not random. They are rooted in the love of a Father who waited for just the right moment to reveal them. And now, your moment is unfolding. You're not too late. You haven't missed it. You didn't fail beyond repair. What God has planned for your life has not expired. His calling does not come with an expiration date. His promises are not based on your perfection, they are based on His love. And that love is perfect. That love has already made room for your breakthrough. Take a moment and breathe. Feel the quiet presence of God surrounding you. Let His peace fill the room. Let His love reach into the spaces where you felt forgotten. Let the light of heaven begin to warm the corners of your heart that have gone cold from waiting too long. Because right now, this is your moment of restoration. God is not asking you to figure it all out. He's not waiting for you to prove anything. He is simply asking you to receive, to trust, to open your heart wide enough to let the miracle in. The doors you thought were sealed are now being unlocked, not by your strength but by His word. The healing you've needed is being released, not because of your striving, but because of His grace. And through all of it, remember this: when your name is spoken in heaven, it's not just about a change in your situation, it's about a change in your soul, a deeper trust, a stronger faith, a heart more open to love, more ready to forgive, more willing to let go of what has hurt you. That's the real miracle, when God transforms not just the world around you, but the world within you. So walk in that truth. Carry it with you like a flame that never burns out. Let it be the strength behind every step you take. Let it be the anchor in the days that still feel uncertain. And above all, let it be the reminder that God is not done with you, not even close. There is a kind of silence that falls before the storm breaks, not a frightening silence, but a holy one. It is the stillness that comes when heaven is preparing to move. You might be feeling that quiet now, a pause, a hush, an invisible shift that you can't quite explain. That's not emptiness, that's not delay. That is God at work in the unseen, and the moment your name was spoken in heaven, that stillness turned into sacred preparation. Type 1919 to receive miracles in your life. You've walked through seasons that tested you to your core. You've had days when your faith felt small and fragile, like a flickering flame in the wind. But even then, you kept going. Even when your heart was heavy, you chose to trust. That trust did not go unnoticed. That quiet faith, barely held together some days, reached heaven. And God, in His mercy, leaned down and whispered your name. That whisper carried power. It carried intention. It carried love deeper than anything you've ever known. Sometimes, the greatest shifts in our lives don't come with thunder. They come gently, wrapped in grace, arriving at the exact moment we need them the most. And now, that shift has started. The burdens you've carried are beginning to lift. The confusion that clouded your path is starting to clear. The sorrow that weighed on your spirit is slowly being replaced by a soft, steady peace. This is what happens when God speaks. His voice doesn't just echo, it creates, it restores, it revives. You've felt forgotten at times. You've watched others step into their blessings while you stayed behind, still waiting, still hoping. But God was never ignoring you. He was preparing something deeper, something richer, something lasting. And now that preparation is turning into release. The gates that held back your blessings are opening. The windows of heaven are shifting, making room for what is meant for you to arrive right on time. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. What is yours will come, not because of your efforts, but because of God's promise. He sees the entire picture, while we only glimpse small parts. We cry out, wondering why things haven't changed, not realizing that the foundation for our miracle has already been laid. And now, God has spoken your name, and heaven has answered. Type 666 if you trust Jesus through every season. Jesus never promised that we would avoid pain. but He did promise we would never face it alone. And when He walks with us, the pain we carry begins to change shape. It becomes a bridge towards something new, something sacred. That pain you've known has not been pointless. That storm you've weathered has not been without purpose. It's all part of the greater picture, and the hand of God has been over it from the start. You were never forgotten in the waiting. God was closer in those quiet moments than you ever realized. He sat with you when you wept. He held your heart when it broke. He steadied your feet when you didn't think you could take another step. And now He is rising on your behalf. The name that once carried weariness now carries the mark of divine favor, because God never forgets who you are, even when you feel lost in the noise of life. There's beauty in the way He works. He takes the very things that tried to break you and turns them into testimony. He gathers every shattered piece and reshapes them into something beautiful, something whole, something entirely new. That's what redemption looks like, not just rescue, but renewal. Not just healing, but transformation. And that transformation is what begins the moment your name is spoken by God. Let yourself believe again. Let your heart open just a little more. Let hope rise, even if it feels fragile. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't need to have all the answers. What you need is already happening. The change is underway. The blessing is not coming, it's already moving toward you. And it will not miss you. God's promises never fall short. They never arrive late. They always arrive in the exact way your soul needs, even when your mind doesn't understand. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not forgotten. You are in the middle of a divine story that is unfolding with grace and glory. Heaven's eyes are on you. God's heart is with you. Jesus' love is holding you. And even if everything around you looks the same, your spirit knows something is different now. Something has shifted, because heaven has spoken and your name was called. Feel that truth settle into your bones. Let it reach into the weary places. Let it speak louder than your fear. This is not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter marked by God's presence, by His kindness, by miracles you never saw coming. You don't have to make sense of it all. You just have to rest in the truth that God is good, He is near, and He is moving in your life. And as you take your next steps, remember this: your pace is not measured by the world's standards. God walks with you in rhythms of grace, not pressure. He lifts you up when you fall. He carries you when you're tired. And now, He is leading you into a place where the weight lifts, the joy returns, and the promise is fulfilled. There is something so powerful, so sacred, about being known by God, not just in a distant, general way, but in a personal, intimate, tender way. Your name, the one spoken in love over your life from the beginning of time, has now echoed through heaven. That name, yours, has been heard in the presence of angels, spoken by the Creator of all things, and carried with grace by the one who has always held your story close. Type 2323 if you believe your story is safe in God's hands. When God speaks your name, He's not simply calling you into another day. He's calling you into a shift, a turn, a new chapter that was prepared long before you even knew to pray for it. Heaven has seen your journey, every quiet surrender, every tear-stained pillow, every day you chose to believe without a sign. God has counted each moment and woven it all into something meaningful, something holy, something that leads you straight into His purpose for your life. You don't need to be strong to be chosen. You don't need to be fearless to be called. What God looks at is your heart, the kind that kept beating when it was heavy, the kind that loved even when it was tired, the kind that hoped even when nothing made sense. That kind of heart moves heaven. That kind of faith, however small it seemed to you, was enough to catch the attention of your Heavenly Father. This is not about being perfect. This is not about having everything together. This is about being willing to trust again, to rise again, to walk when you feel weak, because you know Jesus walks beside you. You have been called, not just to survive this season, but to come out of it with more peace, more strength, more clarity than you had before. And that change, that healing, that breakthrough is already beginning. God is not delayed. He is deliberate. And just because you haven't seen the answers yet doesn't mean they're not on their way. His promises are sure. They never return empty. When he says your name, it means what was once blocked is now open. What once felt impossible is now unfolding. What you thought was lost is being restored in ways far beyond what you imagined. Type 2020 to claim your miracle and walk in faith. The pain you've walked through has not been overlooked. The things you've endured in silence have not been wasted. God has seen it all, and he's turning it into something beautiful. What felt like a breaking was actually a refining. What felt like a delay was divine protection. What felt like rejection was redirection into something better, something meant for you, something heaven has been preparing. When God moves, he does it in love. He does it with care. He does it with precision. And he never forgets a single detail. Every broken piece, every shattered dream, every tired sigh, it's all gathered by the hands of the one who turns ashes into beauty. He doesn't just patch things up. He creates something entirely new. Something stronger, something fuller, something filled with peace. And now, that kind of restoration is coming your way. You don't have to understand how. You just have to trust that it's already happening. Your name wasn't spoken in heaven for no reason. It wasn't whispered in the courts of glory just for comfort. It was spoken because your time has come. Your season is shifting. Your prayers are becoming reality. Your faith is turning into fulfillment. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to beg. You are already held in the arms of the one who loves you more than words can say. Jesus has walked with you through the shadows, and now he is guiding you into light. That light will warm the coldest corners of your soul. It will bring clarity where confusion once lived. It will bring peace where fear once ruled. That is the light of God's love, and it is breaking through for you now. There is peace in knowing that your life is not random, that every moment, even the painful ones, has been seen and held by God, that every step, even the ones you took trembling, has mattered, that every tear has been stored in his care, not forgotten, but kept close. And now those tears are watering the soil where your blessings will grow. This is your time to rest in his promise, to lay down the need to know everything and simply receive the truth that God's plan is still unfolding. It hasn't been canceled. It hasn't been rewritten without you. You are still part of the masterpiece he's painting, and the colors that looked too dark for too long are about to make sense, because his timing brings it all together. You have waited, and now the wait is not in vain. You have hoped, and now hope will not disappoint. You have believed, and your belief is about to bloom into something beautiful. God has not just been preparing blessings for you, he's been preparing you for the blessings. And now, heaven has signaled that the shift has begun. Let your soul lean into that truth. Let your heart breathe. Let your spirit open to receive all that is coming. This isn't just another day. This is the day heaven responded to the cries of your soul. This is the moment that changes everything. And you are ready, not because you feel strong, but because God is strong in you. Some days feel like you're walking through a fog, where nothing is clear and everything feels uncertain. You pray, but the silence seems louder than your words. You hope, but the wait stretches longer than your strength. And in the stillness, you start to wonder if maybe your prayers got lost, if maybe heaven forgot your voice. But the truth is, God never loses sight of you, and he never loses track of your cries. He heard them all, and now, in this divine moment, he has spoken your name, and everything is shifting. Type Amen if you believe heaven hears you. This is not just another season. It's not just another chapter. This is a holy turning point. What has felt heavy is about to become light. What has felt broken is being gathered and made whole. What seemed like it would never change is already moving in the direction of peace, favor, and healing. You may not feel it yet, but deep inside your soul, you can sense it, that gentle nudge, that whisper that says something is different now. That's not imagination. That's the Spirit of God letting you know your time has come. God has a way of showing up when we least expect it but most need it. He doesn't need grand moments to begin His work. Sometimes He begins with a whisper. Sometimes He begins with your name. And when He calls you, He does it with full knowledge of your pain, your hopes, your fears, your dreams. He knows where you've been, and He knows exactly where He's taking you. When He speaks your name, it is with intention, and that intention is filled with goodness. He is not bringing you this far to leave you now. He is not revealing your name in heaven so your story can stay the same. When God moves, things change. Chains fall, doors open, wounds heal, and hearts begin to breathe again. He is doing that in your life now, not because you've earned it, but because He loves you, because He never stopped loving you. You may have walked through long nights. You may have cried in silence, unsure if anyone saw, but heaven saw. Jesus was with you through it all, and every second you spent holding on, even by a thread, was seen as beautiful in God's eyes. That kind of faith, the kind that endures even in sorrow, is the kind of faith that opens heaven's windows. And now, God is pouring out what He has long prepared for you. Type 1111 if you trust in God's plan for your life. This is your reminder that even when everything seems still, heaven is never still. There is always movement, always preparation, always orchestration behind the scenes. God is always aligning the right people, the right timing, the right answers to come at exactly the right moment. That moment is arriving now. Your name wasn't just spoken, it was declared, and heaven responded with movement. Don't let the pace of the world convince you that you've missed anything. Don't let the pressure to be further along rob you of the peace that comes from trusting God's perfect timing. You are exactly where you need to be. And now that God has spoken your name, where you are will not stay the same. Your surroundings may look familiar, but soon, everything will begin to feel different. That's what happens when the atmosphere around your life is touched by God's presence. This transformation will not always be loud. It may come quietly, gently, like a sunrise slowly pushing back the darkness. It will unfold softly, with grace leading the way, and peace wrapping around you like a warm covering. And before you realize it, you'll look up and see that what you once feared has lost its grip. What you once prayed for has become part of your everyday life. That is how gently God blesses. That is how deeply He loves. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to carry it alone. Just stay open, stay present. Let your heart continue to believe, even if it's only with a whisper. That whisper is enough. That hope is enough. That small flicker of faith is enough for God to move mountains on your behalf. Because He doesn't wait for you to be perfect, He meets you exactly where you are. This moment is not about striving, it's about surrender. It's about saying, God, I don't know how, but I trust you. It's about letting go of the timeline you had in mind and embracing the truth that heaven's plan is far more beautiful than anything you imagined. You are walking into something you didn't see coming, but God has seen it all along. He's been waiting for your heart to be ready, and now it is. Let yourself receive what God is offering. Let your soul be at peace, knowing that heaven hasn't forgotten you, not for 1 second. Let your steps be steady, not because the road is easy, but because your guide is faithful. Jesus is holding your hand through this. He is whispering reassurance into your soul, and He is leading you forward into a new season that has already been written with love. You are not here by accident. You are not reading these words by chance. God planned this moment, and He wants you to know you are seen, you are heard, and you are deeply loved. The change that's coming is more than just a shift in circumstances. It's a change in how you see yourself, how you walk through life, how you trust again. It's a revival in your spirit, a restoration of what you thought was lost, a reminder that God has never stopped working behind the scenes. There's something sacred about this moment, not because of the noise around you, but because of the quiet inside you. That still, gentle awareness that something is different, even if you can't fully explain it yet. You feel it in your heart like a soft stirring, like the way the wind changes right before the rain. That's not coincidence. That's not emotion. That is God. That is heaven moving on your behalf. Type 222 if you believe heaven is already moving for you. You've walked long roads with tired feet. You've held your breath through storms, hoping they would pass quickly, but watching as they lingered longer than expected. You've held tight to your faith, sometimes barely holding on, and still you remained. That alone is powerful. You may not see it, but your strength in the waiting has been seen by the one who never slumbers. He has not only seen it, He has honored it. And now, He has spoken your name in heaven. When God speaks your name, He's not just reminding the heavens who you are. He's reminding all of creation that your purpose still stands. He's reminding the angels that you are marked for blessing, for peace, for a calling that no person, mistake, or delay can take away. That name, your name, has been wrapped in His promises since the beginning, and now those promises are unfolding right before you. You might have spent months or even years waiting for something to shift, for a door to open, for a prayer to be answered. You've given, loved, served, and believed. And now, God is stepping in not to reward your effort, but to pour out His mercy, not because you were perfect, but because you are His. And when you belong to Him, there is no distance that can separate you from what He has planned. Sometimes the miracle doesn't come in the form we imagined. Sometimes it arrives gently, quietly, as an opportunity, a healing, a sudden peace in the middle of what once caused fear. You begin to see the beauty in the waiting. You begin to feel a new kind of strength growing inside. That's the evidence that God is near. That's the proof that your name has been spoken in the place where all things begin. Type 555 if you trust Jesus with the outcome. You are not forgotten. You are not lost in the shuffle of this world. Your story matters more than you know. And right now, heaven is fully aware of what you've walked through. The pain that seemed invisible to others was never hidden from God. The disappointment that you quietly buried deep inside your heart was never out of His reach. And now, in His perfect time, He is doing something new, something lasting, something holy. It's okay if you don't see it clearly yet. God doesn't require you to understand everything. He only asks you to keep walking with Him, even if the road feels unfamiliar. When He speaks your name, it's not just a call, it's a covering. It's a declaration that says, "This one is mine. I am not finished with their story. I am just getting started." Even the most broken pieces of your life are being restored. Not one part of your pain will be wasted. Not 1 minute of your struggle will go unused. God is weaving it all together into something so beautiful that you'll one day look back and say, "I see it now. I understand why it had to be this way." You'll thank Him not just for the blessings, but even for the moments that felt like breaking, because through them, He brought you here. You don't have to perform for God's love. You don't have to prove your worth to be chosen. You already are. He chose you long before you knew His name. He's been walking with you through every dark hallway, every season of silence, every question you were too afraid to speak out loud. And through it all, He never stopped seeing you. He never stopped calling your name. And now, He's calling you into something new, into healing, into clarity, into peace, into purpose. There is a release taking place in the spiritual realm. Things are being aligned that you haven't even prayed for yet. God is preparing blessings that exceed the limits of your imagination. The very doors that once shut in your face are now creaking open, not because you forced them, but because heaven has made room for you. Let that truth settle into your soul. Let it calm your heart. Let it fill you with a kind of peace that doesn't need to explain itself. Because that peace doesn't come from things going perfectly. It comes from knowing that God is in control, that He has spoken, that His voice still carries power, and that power is now working in your life. Your name is known in heaven, not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. Not because of how loud your prayers were, but because of how deeply He loves you. That love has never changed. It has never faded. It has never stopped covering you, and now it is making a way. So walk forward. Even if your steps are slow, walk forward. Even if your heart still trembles, walk forward. You are not walking alone. Jesus is beside you, smiling with every small step of trust. The Holy Spirit is guiding you, even in the quiet. And God the Father has declared your name in glory, and that means nothing can stay the same. There is a kind of stillness that doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something sacred is unfolding behind the scenes. It means heaven is preparing a moment that will touch your life in ways you could never arrange on your own. That stillness is the space where God does His most tender work. And now, after all your waiting, your quiet believing, and your gentle persistence in faith, God has spoken your name in the presence of angels, and the heavens have started moving just for you. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and not by sight. For so long you've felt like you've been walking uphill with the weight of unanswered prayers on your back. You've kept smiling even when your heart was breaking. You've held on when others would have let go. And though you didn't always say it out loud, your soul often whispered, "God, please don't forget me." And He didn't, not even for a second. He watched you through it all. He caught every tear. He understood every ache. And now that same God has turned His face toward you and spoken your name in power and in love. When God speaks your name, it means more than just recognition. It means movement. It means change. It means the very atmosphere around you begins to shift, not because of what you can see, but because of what heaven has already begun. There is a release happening in the unseen. The blessings that were being held back until the right moment are now being loosed. The healing that was delayed is now finding its way to you. The breakthrough that once seemed far away is already at your door. God's timing is never rushed, but it is always exact. You may have thought He was being silent, but all along, He was aligning everything perfectly. People, places, moments, all being carefully prepared to bring about His promise in your life. And the moment your name was spoken in heaven, those pieces started coming together. You're not just entering a new season. You're stepping into the one that was made for you. Type yes if you believe what's meant for you is already yours. This isn't about deserving it. This isn't about being good enough. This is about grace. It's about the mercy of a loving Father who sees beyond our flaws and failures and loves us anyway. It's about Jesus, who stood in every gap, who took every weight, and who now stands beside you saying, "You are not forgotten. You are mine." That is the power behind your name being spoken in heaven. It is spoken with the authority of love that cannot be shaken. You've gone through seasons that tried to break you, disappointments that stole your breath, losses that made you question everything. But still, your faith held on. Maybe with trembling hands, maybe with a heart full of doubt, but it held on. And that is what heaven responds to. Not perfection, but persistence. Not performance, but trust. The miracles coming into your life are not a reward, they are a reminder. A reminder that God keeps His word, that He finishes what He starts, that He never lets go of what belongs to Him. And you belong to Him. You always have. Through every high and every low, He has been holding your story with care, turning every pain into a seed, every tear into rain, every delay into divine preparation. Now, as the wind begins to change around your life, you'll notice small signs, a peace you can't explain, a joy rising in places that used to feel heavy, a door opening that you didn't even knock on. These are the first signs that heaven has answered. They're the gentle confirmation that your name was spoken with love, and that change is no longer a distant hope, it's now a present promise. Your heart may still be cautious, and that's okay. God understands your fear. He doesn't shame you for feeling uncertain. Instead, He wraps you in assurance and reminds you that this change is not something you need to control, it's something you can receive. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to see the full picture. You just need to rest in knowing that the one who holds it all has you, completely. Let your soul breathe again. Let hope rise again. You've carried so much for so long, but now it's time to let God carry you. He is your strength when you're weak, your light in the dark, your calm in the storm. And now, He is your turning point. The shift that's happening isn't temporary. It's not fleeting. It's not just an emotional moment, it's a spiritual beginning. It's real, and it's yours. The same God who parted seas, who healed the broken, who raised the dead, is now moving in your life. Not in the past, not in a story you heard once, but right now. That same power, that same love is at work in your life because your name has been lifted in heaven. It has been acknowledged, it has been cherished, and now it is being honored with divine action. So move forward. Even if it's with small steps, move forward. Let go of what held you down. Release the fear. Surrender the doubt. God is not asking you to walk alone. He is walking with you. The burden is no longer yours to carry alone. You've been seen, you've been heard, and now you are being lifted. This is the kind of moment you'll look back on and say, that's when everything started to change. Not because you made it happen, but because heaven stepped in and God spoke your name. And that changed everything. You may not have realized it, but all along the journey, heaven was watching. In the silent places, in the weary mornings, in the moments when you kept showing up even though your heart was breaking, heaven saw. God noticed. He counted each breath of faith you took when it felt like you had nothing left to give. And now, with quiet power and everlasting love, your name has been spoken by the one who holds the stars in His hand, and that name has echoed through the gates of glory. Type Amen if you believe God sees everything you've walked through. God doesn't speak your name without reason. He doesn't call out to you in the presence of angels just for comfort. He does it because something is about to change. He speaks because it is time. Time for what once held you back to lose its grip. Time for the chains to loosen. Time for the weight you've been carrying to be lifted. This is not just encouragement. This is heaven's announcement that your story is shifting into something more beautiful, more purposeful, more whole than it has ever been. You might have come to a place where you almost stopped expecting good things. The waiting has been long. The trials have been many. But there is something sacred about endurance. It's not always loud. It's not always recognized, but in God's eyes it is powerful. Your persistence in faith has not gone unnoticed. While others may have seen only the surface, God saw the depth of your trust, and He has responded. You have been walking through what felt like a desert with no clear sign of direction. But what you couldn't see was that underneath the dry soil, seeds were being watered by your faith. And now, the ground is beginning to shake. The first signs of growth are pushing through. The winds are changing. God's hand has turned in your favor. Because when your name is spoken in heaven, your life cannot remain where it was. It must move forward. Type 666 if you trust Jesus to lead you into the new. Every step you've taken, no matter how small, has led to this moment. And now the shift you've been praying for is already unfolding. It may not happen with fireworks or noise. It may not even be noticed by the world around you at first. But in the quiet, powerful way that only God moves, your life is beginning to change. The weight is being exchanged for peace. The fear is being replaced with confidence. The sorrow is giving way to joy. You may feel like nothing has changed on the outside, but inside, your spirit is rising. That's how you'll know. That gentle lift inside you, that unexpected breath of peace, that whisper in your heart that says, "I'm with you, always." That's Jesus. And when Jesus is near, nothing remains the same for long. You are not late. You are not behind. The pace you've walked may have been slow, but God has been walking beside you all along. He has seen every detour, every setback, and He has used each one to strengthen your spirit. And now, what once felt like delay is turning into divine alignment. Your steps are being ordered. Your path is being cleared. Heaven is working on your behalf because your name was spoken in love, in victory, and in purpose. God doesn't forget His promises. The words He spoke over your life, the dreams He placed in your heart, the prayers you've whispered in the dark, none of it is lost. None of it has expired. You are stepping into a season where things will begin to make sense. The pain will reveal its purpose, the waiting will show its wisdom, and the healing will be deeper than you ever expected. It doesn't mean everything will suddenly be easy, but it does mean that now you will walk with fresh strength. Because this strength comes not from you, but from God Himself. It's the kind of strength that doesn't run out. It's the kind that meets you in your weakest hour and says, "Let me carry you." It's the strength that rises when you feel like giving up. It's the grace that surrounds you when you're too tired to keep going. And that grace is already covering you now. God knows how long you've waited. He knows the questions that kept you awake at night. He knows the heaviness you've tried to hide. And now, He is speaking directly into that pain, not with judgment, but with kindness, not with distance, but with closeness. This is the God who doesn't just reach down, He walks beside. This is the Jesus who enters the storm with you and calms it from the inside out. You may not know how the change will come. You may not see all the details. But the shift has started. And the most important thing you can do now is stay open. Open to His presence. Open to His leading. Open to the idea that maybe, just maybe, the best is not behind you but ahead. Maybe this is the beginning of something more beautiful than you imagined. You've been strong for so long. Now let God be your strength. Let Him hold what you can't. Let Him lead you to what's next. Because what's next isn't small. It isn't second best. It's the promise you've been carrying inside your heart, finally finding its time. And that time is now. Sometimes, it takes everything in you to simply keep going. When the weight on your shoulders grows heavier and the days feel long and unchanging, it's easy to wonder if anything will ever shift. But there is something sacred that happens when a weary heart refuses to give up. In those moments, quiet, hidden, and often unnoticed by the world, God leans in closer. And now, after all the silent battles and quiet prayers, He has spoken your name in heaven. And when God speaks, nothing stays the same. Type 2323 if you believe your breakthrough is already happening. You may not hear trumpets or see fireworks, but what just happened in the spiritual realm carries more power than any earthly event. Your name, wrapped in faith, has reached the throne of heaven, and God didn't just nod, He responded. He moved. He released. And even if your surroundings still look familiar, your circumstances are no longer the same. A shift has taken place. Something deep and holy has started, and it's going to touch every part of your life. Heaven knows exactly where you are. It knows the weight you've been carrying, the long nights you've endured, and the silent tears you've cried when no one else noticed. Heaven knows because God never left your side. In your weakness, He was strong. In your silence, He was listening. In your waiting, He was working. And now, the weight is lifting, and the answers are beginning to rise. This moment is not just about receiving what you've prayed for, it's about becoming the person who can carry what's coming. God hasn't just been preparing blessings for you, He's been preparing you for the blessings. And now that your name has been spoken in heaven, you can be sure the doors that were once closed are unlocking. The healing that felt so far away is already drawing near. The joy you thought was lost is beginning to return. Type 2020 if you're ready to receive what God has prepared for you. This is not the kind of change that passes quickly. This is lasting. It's the kind of transformation that begins in your spirit before it touches the physical world. You might still wake up to the same routine, see the same faces, face the same tasks, but something inside you will begin to shift. You'll start to notice a new strength rising, a deeper peace settling in, a quiet hope you can't explain. That is the evidence of heaven at work. The things that used to shake you will begin to lose their power. The voices of doubt that once felt so loud will begin to fade into silence. And in their place, a soft whisper from God will rise, reminding you, I called you by name. I have not forgotten you. I have not overlooked you. I have chosen this moment to bless you. Every hardship you faced has been accounted for. Every prayer you whispered has been heard. Every act of love, every step of obedience, every time you gave when you had little, all of it is being honored. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was missed. And now God is bringing it all together in a way only He can. You've trusted when it hurt. You've waited when it was hard. And now you're being lifted not by your own strength but by grace. Not by your plans but by His promise. You are not rising alone. You are rising with the power of heaven behind you, and no force on earth can stop what God has already set in motion. There will be moments when you wonder if anything is really changing. Don't let doubt pull you away from what God has already begun. The seed has already been planted, the waters of faith have already been poured, and the sunlight of God's presence is already shining over your life. Growth takes time, but it is happening even now. There is a peace coming that doesn't make sense, a favor that isn't earned, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. These are the signs of divine transformation. These are the promises that come when heaven speaks your name. This is what happens when God says, now is the time. You're going to start seeing beauty in places you once felt pain. You're going to find new strength in the very areas you once felt weak. You're going to be surprised by how much lighter you feel, how much clearer things become, how much more you trust, even without all the answers. That is the mark of God's hand at work. He's not waiting for you to have it all figured out. He's not expecting perfection. He's simply asking for your heart willing, open, trusting. That's all it takes. Just a heart that says, God, I believe you. And with that kind of faith, even mustard seed, small mountains move, chains break, miracles begin. So rest in this truth. You are not waiting for a blessing to begin. You are standing in it. Your name has been spoken. The shift has already started. And the more you lean into God's presence, the more you'll see it unfold, not because you forced it, but because you trusted Him. What's coming is not random. It's not luck. It's the result of divine love. The kind of love that waits patiently, moves powerfully, and gives freely. That love has found you once again, and it's here to stay. You don't have to chase what's already been given. You only need to receive it. When you've walked through so many quiet battles, it can be hard to believe that something beautiful could be around the corner. But sometimes, it's in the last few steps of the hardest road that heaven releases what has been prepared all along. You've held on when it felt like no one else could see the storm you were facing. You smiled when your heart was tired. You gave when you had little left. And God saw every single moment. Now, in the stillness of heaven, your name was spoken not with pity, not with delay, but with purpose, with delight, with power. Type 1111 if you believe in God's perfect timing. You were never walking alone, even when the nights were long and the answers didn't come. Even when the prayers seemed to fall into silence, they were actually rising, echoing through heaven's courts. God doesn't miss a single cry from your heart. And now, He has responded not with just comfort, but with change. Not just with peace, but with promise. Not just with strength, but with release. What's been locked up is opening. What's been delayed is moving. What's been lost is being found again. Because God has declared that now is your time. The shift is not just coming, it's already begun. Maybe you can't see it all yet. Maybe you still feel unsure. But something in your spirit knows, even without proof, that this moment is different, that something deeper is stirring, that heaven has leaned in closer to you. This is more than just a new beginning. It's a divine restoration, the kind of healing that doesn't just cover wounds, but brings complete peace where pain once lived. The kind of favor that doesn't just give back what was taken, but returns it multiplied. Because God doesn't just restore, He exceeds. He gives in abundance. And your life is about to be marked by that abundance. You may be thinking about the time you feel you've lost, the dreams you buried, the days that slipped through your fingers. But God doesn't just give you a new page. He gives you a brand new book, one where the chapters ahead are filled with light, clarity, and beauty that only He can create. The past won't define the future. The pain won't hold the pen anymore. His hands are writing something greater now, and your name is on every page. Type 222 if you trust that your best days are still ahead. Don't be afraid of this change. Don't shy away from the blessing just because the road has been hard. God hasn't forgotten what you've been through. He hasn't overlooked the cost. And now that your name has been spoken, He will honor it. This is not a maybe, this is a promise. He is a faithful God, and when He speaks, His words do not return empty. They go out with power and come back fulfilled. You'll begin to feel it in small ways first. A peace that sits a little deeper, a burden that doesn't feel as heavy, a strength rising in your chest when you wake. And as you walk in that, step by step, the bigger changes will begin to come into view. What once felt distant will start to feel close. What once seemed impossible will begin to unfold naturally. And all of it will point back to this moment when God called your name. There is no mistake about the timing. There is no error in the way your story is unfolding. The delays you faced were not denials, they were divine pauses, allowing things to align, people to shift, and your spirit to be ready. Now, as heaven opens the next door, you will find that you're not stepping in unprepared. You're walking in equipped, strengthened, and surrounded by favor. This change won't look like anything you've seen before. It's not just about answers, it's about alignment. God is putting your heart in the right place at the right time for the right purpose. He's not just giving you what you want, He's giving you what you need. And what you need will satisfy you in ways you didn't even know to pray for. You are being drawn into something deeper, something richer, something lasting. The shallow waters that once drained you are no longer your place. You're being called into deeper trust, deeper rest, and deeper joy. That kind of joy doesn't come from what you have. It comes from who you walk with, and you walk with Jesus. He walks beside you when no one else does. He lifts you when you fall. He holds you when you weep. He speaks peace into your chaos. And now, He is speaking life into your future. He is speaking release over your past. He is speaking strength into your today. And with one word from heaven, everything can turn. You don't have to try so hard to be enough. You already are. You don't have to chase what's already been given. You only have to receive it. Let go of the fear that tells you it's too late. Let go of the voice that says it won't happen for you. That voice is not God. His voice says, I have called you by name. You are mine. And when God calls you His, everything changes. So take a breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let your heart lean into the truth that you are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are not too broken to be blessed. God sees you, He knows you, and He is moving for you. There's something sacred happening inside of you, even if you can't fully see it yet. A soft unfolding, like morning light gently parting the night. It doesn't arrive with noise or fanfare, but it's real, it's holy. You may not be able to explain it to anyone, but deep down, you know, something has shifted. And that something began the moment God whispered your name in the presence of heaven. Not as a casual mention, but as a divine declaration. That whisper held the weight of His love and the power of His promise. Type 1919 to receive miracles from above, right on time. What makes this moment different isn't what you've done, it's what God is doing. This isn't about your performance. This isn't about how many things you've gotten right or how well you've kept it together. It's about God's mercy. It's about His goodness chasing you down, even in the mess, even in the middle of uncertainty, even in the quiet corners of your heart where you've hidden your pain. He sees it all. And still, He says, that one belongs to me. I have plans, I have healing, I have more.